I have bipolar disorder. I have bipolar disorder. Once upon a time, I might have said I am bipolar, but I am not my diagnosis. So I deliberately say have rather than am. Someday it may become a habit. I was diagnosed 25 years ago after the birth of my second child. Now, I'd first come into the wonderful world of mental health care 2 years before that, when I had my first child and postpartum depression. With my second, it was postpartum depression with added hallucinations. Shortly after I began taking the selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, I bounced up really high, which is why they decided to focus on bipolar. So that was the diagnosis. But when did it start? That's hard to say. I felt different all my life, believing from an early age that other people didn't experience emotions the way that I did. Other people seemed to me to be so remote from their emotions that I believed everyone else must be a robot put on earth by God to test me. I was very sensitive. I am very sensitive. You got to toughen up, people always say. Oh, one of my friends once said to the other, you know how difficult she can be. That phrase still haunts me. With adolescence and then adulthood came promiscuity, shoplifting, self-indulgent poetry, a broken window, and bloody knuckles, astonishing productivity, nightmares, a suicide attempt, insomnia, racing thoughts, bursts of rampant creativity, and many, many tears. For years, I worked and trained as an actress, which gave everyone a nice excuse for my heightened emotionality. After the diagnosis, nothing changed right away, except the meds. My first psychiatrist tried quite a few, but the hypomania kept popping back up, though it was useful in some ways. I wrote my master's thesis in a single weekend. I wrote short fiction for my popular website, all while in the process of divorcing my first husband, raising 2 kids, and working full-time. Now, I've been in England 22 years now. I've been able to work about half that time. 15 years ago, I had 2 more children, my twin boys. My psychiatrist is still tweaking my meds. Looking back over the past decade, I reckon I've had 3 major depressions, multiple hypomanic episodes, many mixed states, and 1 psychotic break, courtesy of discontinuing a particularly nasty medication. Now, don't get me wrong. Medication has saved my life, but I always felt as though it was something being done to me. I had no control or influence. But that finally began to change around 12 years ago when I was lucky enough to have some cognitive behavior therapy, which seems to have been a turning point. Even if I didn't understand it all at once, I could see that I could have some influence over my own mental health. Then I took a course at Solent Recovery College and began reframing my mental health as a recovery journey. The techniques I've learned at the Recovery College have been very helpful. I practice mindfulness, I'm rebuilding routines, I keep copious lists, and I try not to overcommit. Oh, my family can be very supportive, but I still sometimes struggle to know what it is I need, let alone how to ask for it. I began my involvement as a peer trainer at Solent Recovery College in April 2014. In July 2019, I became the peer trainer coordinator for the college. Early this year, I took on the role of team lead. I love having something I believe in to work for. It's liberating to have a job where you have to have a mental health diagnosis. I don't have to hide my diagnosis. I don't have to be my diagnosis. I can be as different as I like, just like everybody else.